Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started here in just a couple of minutes. We're going to let everybody get joined in here and kick things off. So we'll be with you guys in just a second as we get things started here. Just move my things around. For those of you that don't know, I just got back in Alabama. So different background, slightly different setup, different equipment. Last night, I decided to rearrange a bunch of things at the last minute. And that meant cables I had to reconnect literally during my last meeting. So we're hoping everything's working out. You may notice that our the lighting is off a little bit. So we got fiber installed down here, which is really cool. I'm excited about having fiber. The downside is that means we have a new network, and that means that my Elgato key lights that I normally use to make sure that you can see me won't do anything. I found out they have to connect to the network to be configured, and if they don't actually work. I can't turn them on. So a little bit dark today, so I apologize for that as we get things taken care of. And we'll get that resolved hopefully in the next day or two. But the joys of moving and getting everything in order. So again, we're going to give everybody just a minute here, and then we're going to dive right on in. By the way, just a quick FYI for everybody, we are in the midst of a major thunderstorm down here in Alabama where I'm at. And as you know, sometimes that means there's a power outage. So if we happen to run into a power outage, I will be back on my phone literally within a minute or two. So please don't worry about that. Just hold tight. If I disappear, I will be back just in case the power again does decide to go away. I'll be back momentarily and get everybody there. All right, I'm going to move one more screen around and we will get things started here. Give me just a moment. Awesome. Dale, would you mind if I made you a co-host on this just in case I do lose power, that we know the meeting stays going and then I can come back in? Are you okay with that? I'm going to assume that's yes. I couldn't hear you, but we'll just assume that's okay.
Yes, no problem.
I appreciate it. So Dale's been around for a long time, so that's appreciated again. Just in case I lose power, then we know the meeting won't drop off. So all right. Well, welcome everybody. If I have not met you before, I'm Jonathan, and I'm really excited to chat with you today. We're going to talk about what we call my AI tool stack. What am I using on a day-to-day basis? If you check these out, we do these every month, and they change every month because the tools that I'm using, the frequency with which I'm using, all that literally changes on a month-by-month basis. And what we try to do is we spend a little bit of time walking through the various AI tools that I'm using, and then we open it up for Q&A and give you guys an opportunity to ask me questions about other AI tools, why I use one over the other, anything like that. So this is a session designed really just to share what tools I'm using. I get asked that a lot, Jonathan, what do you use? So I want to show you that and walk on through. Just so you're aware, again, a little bit of housekeeping. I don't watch the chat closely. So in the event that you've got a question, we will ask that. Just raise your hand. You can go to the bottom of the screen on Zoom and you can see a raise hand button, or you'll see possibly a react button. Both of those give you the opportunity to raise your hand, and then I'll see that and I can call on you accordingly. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start with my screen share here, and we're going to share my desktop. And I'm going to start off with just the key things that I use. None of these should surprise you as you go through, but we'll walk through. So the first one we want to take a look at, no big surprise, I'm still using ChatGPT on a daily basis. Now, most of the time when I'm using ChatGPT, it's actually not using the main interface like this, but I'm typically using one of my many custom GPTs. If you're not familiar, I love custom GPTs. They help me save a tremendous amount of time every day. And I'll give you an example of one that I use here on a regular basis. So one of the things that I do in what I'm content creation is I create social media posts and we share value and things like that. And if you've noticed on Facebook, one of the more common styles on Facebook that really works well, and we'll go ahead and load Facebook up, is what they call a thread post, where you have an original post that comes up, and then based on that, we'll see if we can find one. I'm sure it won't take very long. We have one come up, and then, of course, as I'm scrolling, I'm not going to find one right away. Then below in the comments, there we go. So here's one. This is a thread post. So colored background, maybe a graphic, your text, and then the answer to this is typically in the comments, where you'll post those in the comments. And so as we put those down, I'll load up one of mine here for a second. So here's an example of one that I just did. So we made it a little bit more fancy. If you can see here, we actually did a little bit of a video clip that comes in, but basically we're leading with that hook or whatever you want to call it here in the image. And then if you click on the comments, you can see down below in the comments all of the things that I did. Where are they? I posted this a few hours ago, and apparently I need to post my comments in. So we'll show you how we would do that, I guess, because here's gotta love it when things work out that way. But I use Veronica to do this, and Veronica will give me things like this here. So I went into Veronica and I basically said, hey, I want to create some threads about YouTube's new AI video creation feature. I gave it some information and it did. And here's what it came up with. And so I just literally take these, I head over to Facebook, and then I paste them on in. And this is a great example of how I can do posts really quickly and I can still add a lot of value. It's still my idea. So, I'm seeing things and going, okay, this is something that I want to share. And I'm using this custom GPT, which is pre-programmed and pre-trained how to create the details that I want to create, how to write the posts, what tone and style to use. So instead of me having to manually put that in every time that I want to, I literally can go ahead and just give it the topic. And as you saw, it gave me all of these. And that makes it easy for me to post. As you can see me doing live here, I'm literally just going to go in and post those in. So that's a thread post. There's lots of these. If we take a look, I can scroll down. I do a lot of these. So, again, color posts, super simple. And I use Veronica to do that. Again, this is part of a custom GPT that's custom trained. I have other ones that I use as well, but this is one of the reasons that I use ChatGPT. What I don't do very much though with ChatGPT is I don't spend much time on this screen. I'm not sitting here asking it questions. When I've got basic questions that I want to ask, basic prompts that I want to do, my go-to in September is Gemini. And I spend a lot of time in Gemini when I'm trying to do basic prompting, so whatever it may be, I need help with an email or anything like that. I'm spending a lot of time doing that in Gemini. And I'll admit that a big part of this is happening for me, and you may or may not be set up this way. I'll pull up my email here real quick. We use Google's Workspace for our company email and calendar and all that. And one of the reasons that I really love Gemini is it's integrated directly in with this, if it loads up for me. And you will see when we get in here, assuming again that it loads, that I can use Gemini right within Gmail. I can use it right within my calendar and all that. And it's a really effective way to do it. While it's thinking here, I'm going to go ahead and pull up a Google document and see if that works any better. We definitely seem to be running into some slow internet here. So that fiber, I guess, isn't working as well as I had hoped it to. There we go. So here's a good example. Let's grab. So here's a transcript of a training that I did. So here's a way that I use it a lot. I'll load up that Google Doc. I can go over here and click on the star icon, and it brings up Gemini within any Google document, any Google spreadsheet, anything like that that I'm using, and I can ask questions of it just like I would. This is really the same as if I use Gemini and I uploaded the document here in Gemini, but it's super convenient to do it directly within the same interface. So that's something that I use a lot, and Gemini has really become my go-to for basic prompting when I've got things that I want to do. Now, if I'm doing bigger projects, like this morning, I'm writing copy for a self-scribe training that I'm doing. So I'll actually load it up here. I do a lot of this in Manus now. Manus is an agentic AI. It's Manus.io, I believe. I'll send you guys a link in case anybody doesn't have it. You can get it for free. Manus is super cool. And let me throw a link in there. If you guys don't have it, that'll get you in free. The way Manus works, just to give you guys a little background if you're not familiar with it, is Manus is both a chat bot, which we're used to, but it also has an agent feature. And an agent feature just means that it is able to, I can give it a goal and it'll do like a task list and a lot more work. So let me give you an example of that. If I were in ChatGPT or Gemini, I could give it a task and I could tell what I wanted to do. But If I have a multi-pronged task, I often have to do one task at a time because Gemini and ChatGPT don't always do a good job of doing a big, long task. Manus, on the other hand, is great. So next week, we're running a Self-Scribe 2.0 training. Some of you guys may have taken my Self-Scribe training. Next week, we're doing 2.0. And I literally grabbed my training that we did for the original Self-Scribe. By the way, we did that almost a year ago. And I uploaded the transcript and I uploaded some PDFs. And I basically said, I want you to review all of this. And I want you to help me come up with a 3-day training of version 2.0. And instead of me having to spell out, first I want you to create an outline, and then I want you to do this, and then I want you to do that, it went ahead and put together an entire task list for me, went through everything. You can see as I scroll down here, it's literally going through the whole thing. It's even creating different analysis files so I can look at this whole process of everything that it did. It went on and referenced some new websites to look at, came back with different things here, actually went in here, it went to a website and navigated through a website. So instead of me having to give it a web page to go look at, it did the search and then navigated to that website to gather information. You can see it clicked an element, pressed the escape key to get out of it, and then literally created new documents here. You can see this is a document that it created for me as part of the process. Continued on through, went through new section, created a new training plan. I'll scroll all the way to the bottom, and you can see it's now given me my recommendations for my 2.0 training. Now, if you take the training next week, I won't just copy and paste this. I'll go through this. But normally, this is the type of thing I'd give to my team to do. And I'd say, all right, I want you to go do the research and I want you to come back and figure all this out. In this case, it took about 45 minutes, but I just turned this over to Manus and let Manus do this for me. So super, super effective. Let's take a look at what it's recommending, for example, of day one. So I can load up here and you can see it's got a nice document already formatted as a Google Doc and giving me its recommendation, much like that I went to my team, of what things we should be doing on day one of the training, talking about the changes. You can see there's a lot of information in here that it's going through and then how everything works. So Manus is super cool. I probably use Manus as much as I use any other tool. And Manus, by the way, when you're using its agentic features, it does cost money to do that. And what I do is, in order to do that, I like not spending any more money than I need to. So I share my link, like I shared with you guys earlier, regularly on social media. And what I do is, one of the really cool things that Manus does, if you've ever talked to anybody who wants like free AI, but you don't get enough usage on ChatGPT or on Google, Manus has unlimited free chat. So you have any friends, employees, anything like that that need access to chat. If I come in here, it has two modes, a chat mode and an agent mode. And if I click on chat, I can, by the way, I can set this account up for free and I can spend all day asking it questions in chat here for free. So you can see up here, I've got 357,000 credits. That's equal, believe it or not, to almost close to a little over $3,000 if I'd spend that. I didn't spend the money. And then that comes because I'm sharing this link. So this share Manus with a friend, if you want to be popular, sign up, give them free credits, and everybody gets free credits on top of that to use. And that helps build up my buffer so that I basically get to use Manus for free. It's a super, super tool. And again, I use it all the time. It's great for that stuff. Next tool I use somewhat, but much less than I used to, is Claude. If you guys are familiar with Claude by Anthropic, I do like Claude. It's very good, but Claude to me has some very draconian usage limits. In other words, when I do stuff, I don't tend to do a simple prompt. I tend to upload documents and reference material and all that. And Claude very quickly will tell me I'm out of usage, even though I'm on a paid plan. So I don't use it a lot, but it is something that I still do use at least weekly. So I'll show you that. One that I use every single day, and it's not the AI tool you might think of, is Read.ai. This is an AI note taker. If you spend your time doing Zoom meetings and things like that, I highly encourage you to look at different AI note takers. There are tons of them out there. I happen to like Read.ai, which is why I use that one, and it works out super well. But it literally will just go in. So here's an example. I just did a breakdown on a past training that we did. It does the summary for me. It actually does a video summary. It gives me the ability to download a full transcript. I can even query questions about the meeting, whatever it is. I can download the full video. So it's great. You can see here, I can actually see the entire transcript of the meeting here is right there. So super good. The other thing that's helpful is if you're doing stuff and you want some help to understand where did you fit into that meeting, what could you do to run a better meeting? They actually have a personal coach in here. It's an AI coach, but it analyzes how fast you talk and everything else and actually gives you advice on the things you could do in order to be run a better meeting. So filler words, for example, that I used. So there were 99 times that I or one of the people in the meeting said things like or so, and that helps me realize that that was actually 4% of the conversation. Some of it was me, some of it was up with others, but it helps me then do a better job of figuring that out. Talks about words per minute. So really effective. I love this. It's a really good tool, again, that I use every meeting that I'm on. My Read.ai is on. It's on this meeting. It's recording that. And then we're going to talk a little bit about images and video clips. So I create a lot of images, and I am a Midjourney fan. Shannon's on the call. Shannon has forgotten more about Midjourney than I've learned about it, but I use Midjourney for almost all of my images. There's a couple reasons why I want to share with you. One, probably most importantly, is licensing. Because I use my images for my business, I want to make sure that I have images that are licensed for commercial usage. I pay Midjourney. Part of their license that I get by doing that is that I get the ability to take this image, if I like that image, and I can now use this in my marketing, on my website, in my social media, email campaigns, anything I want. I have a license from them to utilize that image. And I like that really well. I also like the Midjourney style. I'm able to create a style of imagery that I like and be consistent with that. So I use Midjourney a lot. The other thing that's really cool with Midjourney, see if I can scroll down and find one here. So you can also create short animated clips with Midjourney. So this is an image that I created, and then we just had Midjourney animate it. It was supposed to show a frustrated entrepreneur at his desk. And it started with the first clip, just that image, and then we had it animated. You can see it kind of added, made it fun. And that ability within Midjourney is really cool because especially when you're creating content, if you want to try to get people's attention, Facebook or whatever, when you show that movement on the screen, that creates huge engagement because it catches people's eye and it's one more reason for them to do. So I love Midjourney and I use it probably every day, very close to every day. These are just images I created this morning that I was working on for stuff. It's also super affordable. I'm trying to remember the plan that I'm on. Let's see if I can find out here to manage my subscription.
Jonathan, do you have your images private?
I have no idea, Shannon.
I
That's a
bet you
good
do.
idea.
And if you do, it's the $60 plan. I'm pretty sure you mentioned that before because you're the one who told me.
Gotcha.
Because the tiers below that, you have your stuff shows up in the Explore tab, and we talked about that once a long time ago.
Gotcha. So yeah,
But
now I am on the $24 a month plan. So that
oh,
means
wow.
mine
Okay.
are showing up. So
Yeah.
I have never had a problem with people stealing my images. I'm not saying it doesn't happen. This is that Explore tab that
Right.
Shannon was talking about. I've never had a problem with people taking my images. Not saying I couldn't, but I haven't had that problem. Um, and yeah, we won't get into the whole copyright discussion today, but
Mm-mm. No.
those are some of the major tools that I'm using. Now, the other tool that I use a ton, and let me go ahead and load up my calendar here, and I especially use it here. The browser that I'm using here is a the Comet browser from Perplexity. I should talk about Perplexity, the search engine that I use. But instead of using Google Chrome, I'm using this. And one of the reasons I'm doing it is because of the things that Comet, and it's a AI-based browser. Google Chrome just announced theirs, although I don't have it yet. There's others out there as well. But let me just show you. I can turn on the assistant here, and it really doesn't matter what tab I'm in. In fact, I can go ahead. I'll go over to, well, here's a good one. Let's go into Facebook and let's go into the group. So if you've ever navigated through a Facebook group and tried to find options, it can be really difficult. Or if you're ever through your ad center trying to find stuff, finding stuff inside of Facebook can be difficult. Well, the beauty is with an AI-based browser, and I use this all the time, I can turn on my assistant. And let's say in this case, we have in our group, if you're in our group, you know we do what is called post approval. So when posts come in, people have to get them approved. We've got 4 of them that are waiting right now. Let's say I want to turn that feature off and I want to let people just post. I could dig through the menus, or I can come into here and I can simply ask my assistant to say, how do I turn off post approval in the group, this group? Now, when I do this, it's going to tell me, but then I'm going to ask it to actually show me how to do that. And see how this turns blue? It's actually taking over my screen right now. And actually, you'll see it's going to navigate. So I'm not navigating, hands in the air. I'm not navigating. You watch, the screen will change. This is AI navigating my computer to find the area that it needs to find to tell me how to accomplish what I did. I could be in virtually any application and do this, and it would show or even do the work for me and figure it out. So there it's walking its way through. I'm not going to save this, but notice it brought me right here. We'll pause that so that it doesn't do it. Post approval needs to go back to on. There we go. And just like that, again, it can take control and help me figure out what's happening on the computer. Excuse me, I had to find the cough button there. So I use this a lot. Another area that this is great in, I'll just open up an assistant again and we'll just go to a blank tab here. So if I click on the assistant here, I can have it, for example, let's say Shannon and I were just talking and I want to find out an opportunity that I've got. Maybe Shannon says, hey, have you got time for a call later today? Please look at my calendar and find a 15-minute open slot that I can schedule a meeting with Shannon for. Now, notice I'm not going to tell Shannon's last name or anything else, but even though I'm not there, I've connected it to my calendar. And instead of me going and trying to figure things out or having my team go and figure things out, I'm literally going to do this. Now, the neat thing is while this is happening, I can leave and go do something else. I don't have to wait on that tab. So I can let that run in the background. I can work on Manus. I can do whatever I want to. And then I can come back here when it's done. And here we go. Here's my calendar for today. So it says I have a 15-minute open slot available for a meeting with Shannon between 9:45 and 10 a.m. Central Daylight Time. All other times are booked with overlapping meetings and focus sessions. Now that's true, just to show you my calendar. So if I go look at my day today, here's my day. There's stuff scheduled, as you can see, pretty much all day long. I'm curious why it missed that one, but we'll figure that out later. But it did find a 15-minute time that I could do that. Based upon that, now I could even say, can you please create a meeting, set it up as a Zoom call, and invite Shannon? And what's going to happen here is it's going to actually go look at my email. It's going to try to find the Shannon's in my email, because notice I didn't give it Shannon's email address. We'll see if it finds the right one. I don't know a lot of Shannon, so we probably will. You can see there it says searching my contacts, and it says Shannon Donovan, and that's actually not who I want. So we're going to skip that part, and it'll keep searching and says, let's confirm Shannon's email address so I can send it. So I would go ahead and give it Shannon's email in this case. And then it would literally walk through the process and set up that Zoom meeting for me, send it out to Shannon and everything else. And it would be super, super easy. And again, I don't have to do this. I'm letting the AI browser do this for me. And it can be super, super effective. Other things that I use it for, let's say I'm looking again at this document over here. We talked about how we can use Gemini to do things. I can also use the assistant over here and just say, This is a 2 hour transcript. I don't have time to go through the whole thing. Can you give me the key takeaways that I need from this meeting? And it will now analyze this whole document without, again, I don't have to upload the document. You could do all of this in chat or GPT. I know that. But instead of having to upload it, I can now literally do it right live in the document. And here it is. Here's my key takeaways for this particular 2 hour transcript. And it's just about done. There we go. Even gave me a summary of hot topics and went on from there. If I like this, where this gets to be really cool is, let's say that I wanted to create a post about Gemini gems. Using the information in the transcript, can you create a Facebook post about the new sharing ability of Gemini gems? And now it's going to actually go through the transcript, find the things that I talked about, and write a social media post that I could use announcing that. And this happens to, by the way, be a brand new feature that just came out. And so again, instead of me having to dig through that, and remember, you can see how fast that was. Now all I have to do is copy, paste, and edit, and I'm ready to go. And I can post that. So those are some of the things that I use all the time. The last thing I want to show you that I use all the time is actually Perplexity. So I don't use Google as a search engine very often. I use Perplexity, and Perplexity is an AI-based search engine. One of the things I love about this is that I can go out and not only do I get the list of files and sites that I want to see from Google, but I also, in this case, get the opportunity to get the answer. So let's say I'm in charge of dinner tonight and I need to figure out what I'm going to make. I'm in charge of dinner tonight. I need to cook for myself, my wife, and my 18-year-old son. I want to make meatballs. I've got ground pork, ground beef, and most any spices needed on hand. Can you help me find a great but yet simple meatball recipe that I can do during my lunch hour today to have ready for dinner tonight? So I get to ask exactly what I'm looking for. And what's neat is this is now going to go out and search live. So unlike ChatGPT or Gemini or Grok or anything like that, where it's literally using its knowledge base, this is Perplexity's going out and doing a live web search. You can see it's found a bunch of links for me. It's actually found 28 sources. But here's the part I love about it. Here's the recipe it recommends. Instead of me having to go like with Google and look at each one of those websites, it's given me the recipe, the cooking instructions, and everything right there so that I've got everything available, super easy and super relevant that fast. It, again, saves me time. I don't have to go navigating around and looking at that. And I find that, again, just to be super, super effective and works really well. So those are the main tools that I use on a regular basis. There are other AI tools that I use occasionally, but that is by far and away the most that I do, and the ones that I'm using most often as we go across. So I'd love to ask you guys, do you have any questions about what tools I'm using, about how I use them, or about other tools? And maybe go, Jonathan, you didn't mention this. Are you not using that or anything like that? I'd love to hear your questions. So if you've got them, go ahead and raise your hand, and then we'll answer those questions and spend as much time together as we need to do that. So, well, Jacqueline, you're up first. What's on your mind? I think you're muted. Yep. There you go.
Well, I wasn't intending to show myself. I'm looking so horrible. Good morning.
Good morning.
Um,
You can show yourself. You're beautiful. I don't care. There is no
I'm
such
not
thing as
feeling
a
it.
bad hair day on this channel. Doesn't happen.
Anyway, you mentioned Gemini 2.0. I was reading a newsletter, something you dropped, um, and because I'm fascinated. What was it? It was about product imaging. No, well, not product imaging. It was about, oh, my
Yeah,
brain won't work.
in our email newsletter yesterday, yeah, we talked about Gemini, and unfortunately we referenced an article that I wrote in March in March it was Gemini 2.0, and
Oh,
I had to remind my team that that's why we try not to talk about versions of software, because while the things we talked about in March are still applicable, the new version
hmm.
is version 2.5. So,
Okay, I
but
thought so. Did I miss something? Well, but then what you said that it did, that's what I'm interested in because you said something about it would be able to automate product descriptions or something like that.
not necessarily automate, but let me go ahead and load up Gemini and I'll give you an idea here of kind of what we can do. So let's go ahead and load that up here a minute. And if we go into Gemini, here we go.
I probably have read it was the wee hours
That
of the
oh,
morning.
that's all right. So inside of Gemini, we can create images. So we can create product images. I could upload sample images, anything like that. Under tools here, we just turn on create images. So one of the things I do like about Gemini and worth mentioning is we can create video in here. We can create images in here. We can use Canvas, which is a collaborative document. So we can actually create a document that AI and I can work together on back and forth. And then they've added guided learning. So if you're ever looking at learning, it can be really helpful for that. And of course, deep research at the top. But we just click on create images and I can either upload sample images. If I have those, it'll use those as bearing, or I can just have it create them. So let's just do something really simple here. I'd like a product mock-up of a carbon fiber phone case for a iPhone 17. Think that's the new model. So because I selected image here, now it's going to make one up. I could have given it a lot more detail, but for simplicity, we'll do that. And it's going to literally create a fiber mockup. And there we go. So there is a how fast it can do it, showing the new iPhone 17. It decided to show different sizes and it put it all together there. And there we go. I'm just going to ask it if it created that one or if that it stole it, because it's interesting that it put this down at the bottom. Did you create that, or is this an actual image from Carbon Works? And again, the only reason I'm asking is it had the Carbon Works logo at the bottom. It used the Carbon Works, but oh, it's fictional. So never mind. It's actually a fictional name it used in the mock-up. So there you go. So just like that, you can create any type of product image you wanted. Let's say I like this. I love the carbon fiber, but I want it to be pink instead of black. Can you update and drop the text? No text at all. And it'll go ahead and do this. And we can then turn these into videos and all that. So there's lots of things we can do within Gemini. And you can do this in most of the tools. We can do this in Chat GPT. There we go. So there's a pink carbon fiber. We could use this in Grok. We could use it in again, a lot of different tools to create this. Even Manus can create images and video and stuff like that. So does that answer your question, what, Jacqueline? Am I making sense?
You are. I thought it could do something else, but because I use it for that all the time. But I just uh that's
Yeah,
good. Thank
the
you.
only way to automate something like that is going to be to use a tool like Zapier or Make
Yeah,
or
that's what I
N8N.
thought.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
then we would need to actually connect to the API as opposed to connecting directly into that. And then we could automate it. So,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
what I was thinking too. All right,
Awesome.
thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Shannon, you're up next. What's on your mind?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing
I was
great.
wondering, because I have people that ask me all the time about like character reference. And so I was wondering, are you still using like the Flexlora or the Fowl AI? Are you still using that on a regular basis, even with the new?
Not regular basis. I still do use that for if I need, and my team still uses it if we need to create like images of me. We definitely do that.
Right.
I still prefer that even to Midjourney's character reference. I just find I'm getting
Hmm.
better images overall. But it's not something we do that often, mainly because we've now got a pretty good library of AI based images, so I don't have to like go create new ones all the time.
Right.
But no, I really like that. In fact, I'll bring that up and show everybody. So if you need to create like self-styled branded images, I like to use a tool called Flux, Flux, and I use it through a site called fal.com. Let me log in here, see if it will do that for me here. Bear with me here. Oh, hang on, I'm going to do a different
The
browser because I have,
unexpected logins, I know.
yeah, I haven't. So I moved over to Chrome browser here as we talked about, but I don't use it exclusively. So hang
You know,
on, let
I've
me,
been
or
having to use Manus in Chrome. It stopped working for me in Safari. I wasn't able to hit the arrow to send, and I don't know if that's still happening, but I gave up and it has its own browser now.
Interesting. So can you see my Chrome browser now? Are you seeing the
Hmm.
login? Is that all shown? Okay, cool.
Yep.
It should all be memorized here, so it shouldn't pose any problems. Let's log in. There we go. So FAL.ai is just it's a site that you can access all kinds of tools from if you've never been out here. And what I like about it is instead of me having to subscribe to all these different tools, I can literally just put money on deposit with FAL and they charge me as I use it. So I don't need seven different $20 a month subscriptions. I can put $20 a month on FAL.ai and use them.
I
Inside
love
this,
that.
one of the things that we use a lot is I click on Explore, and again, we're going to look for text to video here. Hang on, text to image. There we go. And I want the LoRa version. They keep redoing it, so let's just do a quick search here. Flux LoRa. There we go. Stream. Bear with me. I haven't been out here in a while. You can tell because they've changed all the images around, and it's like they've hidden it. It's like, where is
Oh boy.
my training? I was out here a month ago, but let's see, Laura training. See if that finds it for me. No, that's fine tuning. Interesting. I don't know where it went. I'll have to look
Oh,
and see
that's
if I can
okay.
find it. But yeah, this is great because we can create in here, really amazing images. So if I need to have me in a different sport
Hey,
coat or whatever, I can do
Jonathan,
that. And I love that. Yeah,
there's a
Ryan.
there's a training checkbox of category on the left-hand side.
Oh, look at that. Thank you. There's what I wanted. Ryan to the rescue. So there we go.
Always.
Flux Laura training. I have three models. So just if you have never done this before, a LoRa stands for a low resonance something that you're training. I don't know the last word. But you literally upload a bunch of images to it, and then based upon that, you can create things. So I'm going to go load my one for Jonathan Mast. This, I literally uploaded a bunch of photos of myself, and now I can think of any prompt that I want. So I could say a stocky man, well, I'll talk, it's easier, with a long white beard walking down the beach in Pensacola, Florida during the middle of a thunderstorm. And we'll just leave it like that. Now, the only thing is, instead of saying a stocky man, if I do that, it'll create that image. But we're going to then add in my trigger word here, Jonathan J. Mast, as a stocky man walking down that. And we're going to go ahead and open up a couple more options here, particularly to create four images just so we can save time. And we'll create them in PNGs. And we'll say even we want to do this as a portrait style image. And now when I click run, in theory, most of these should resemble me very close. And I say in theory, and Shannon's laughing because she knows when you do AI
Hmm.
images, nothing works out perfectly. But this is using the training data, all the images that I gave it of me to now recreate something like this. And this is a good example. So Pensacola is about 20 miles from where I'm at in Alabama, and I could go down there. I would have a shirt on, so that's definitely not me. I didn't train it with any without shirts. But there you go. So there's an example. And that looks a fair bit like me. I mean, I could probably get away with using that for marketing purposes. And again, it looks like I'm on the
That's
beach
awesome.
in the middle of a thunderstorm.
That's awesome.
Those are those, and I still use it for that type of purpose. So, a good example would be I'm headed out to Las Vegas. So we could do Jonathan J. Mast as a stocky man playing slots in Las Vegas while let's see, we'll make it really clear, wearing a wizard hat and being watched by casino security. And again, now I can run this, and in theory, you should see a picture of me playing a slot machine, wearing a wizard hat with casino security around me, touching me, arresting me. Who knows what they'll do, but something
Right.
along that. And let's just take a look. So I'm headed out to Las Vegas in a few weeks, and there we go. We've got me sitting in a
That's
casino,
fantastic.
and I don't see anything with, the security per se,
There is a
but
guy looking at you in the bottom
yeah,
one.
there's a guy back there, a
Yeah.
little bit off, but So just that fast we can come up with images. And this is where, yeah, if Shannon, when I need to create self-branded images, this is generally where we go because I can create things that are similar to we. And I should have added
Well,
with glasses because I saw it took that off
yeah.
on one of them.
Can I
Yeah,
tell you something that happened yesterday in my training?
please.
I have always told everybody that the character reference in ideogram is like meh or whatever. And also in Midjourney, sometimes if you have somebody and there's like whatever position they're in, or if you make them with a smile or their hands in a certain position, it's really hard to prompt that to change. Where when you use the Flex Laura, that works out well. Well, I did an example thinking it wasn't going to work very well, and my friend couldn't tell it wasn't her child. I used my friend's
Wow.
child and it popped up. We tried to make it a coloring book image and I knew that wouldn't work very well from a photo and ideogram. It doesn't always generate that well. But anyway, we put it just as like an image and she was in a Christmas sweater and we actually convinced the kid, she's 8. Her mom showed her the picture and she goes, "My hair was short last Christmas?" Her mom was like, "Uh-huh." It looked spot on and it did 4 of them. And when I tried it even just a month ago, I didn't love it. But now, if you go in and do it, use a front on face picture and you can even change the expression. You can turn the head. I was blown away. Really
Well,
good
there's
stuff.
And that's one of the reasons we do these tool overviews because literally every month I'm using sometimes the same tools but in different percentages, different ways. A few months ago I was using FAL a lot because I was creating a lot of images. Now we've got a pretty good library, so we're not. But yeah, it's amazing to watch how things change as we go along, and
Yeah.
it's a lot of fun. Thanks, Shannon. I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
You're welcome.
All
Thank you.
right, next we've got Barb. Barb, what's on your mind?
So my question is, when you're using AI in the browser and it generates an answer to whatever you've been querying, the only way that doesn't get saved, we have to copy and paste that someplace else?
No, it'll be saved in your history. So no matter what browser you're using, there'll be a history that it saves. Although I have yet to find any of the browsers that finding things in history is particularly easy. So as a general rule, I'm copying and pasting stuff that I plan on using. A good example is I'll like batch create social media posts because sometimes I'm busy during the day and I've got to be able to copy and paste and I don't have time to proof. So I'll batch create and then I'll proof them and then I paste them into Evernote, which is a note-taking tool that I use. And then if I'm in the middle of meetings and I'm like, oh, I've got 5 minutes before I've got this call, I can pop over to Evernote and grab one that I've already proofed, I've already vetted, and it's there. I could, in theory, go back to ChatGPT and do that, but the reality is I'd never find it because the search functionality just isn't that good, if that makes sense. But yeah, it will be saved in your history. So if we go in and we'll just take a look here a minute and go into Chat GPT here, see what we've got going. Whoops, I'm sharing Chrome. I don't want that. Let's go back to here we go. So if I go in ChatGPT, on the left-hand side here, Barb, I've got all of my GPTs that I've used recently. By the way, don't rely on that to save GPTs, any of you. And that's not just for you, Barb, but for any of you. OpenAI loves to play around with this and mess this up on a regular basis. So don't just bookmark GPTs. But then you can see here are all my chats. So I can go through and I can find them. And they do give me the ability to search those chats. I can go ahead and say, search chat and type in keywords, but it just, to me, I've never found that it works particularly great. So let's look for the word abundance. I did some posts not too long ago about an abundance mentality, and you can see it's coming up with some of them. So it definitely did find some of those, but finding the right one can really then be cumbersome. Now I've got to go through, in this case, a really long chat to find what I want. So I generally just will take the stuff that I want, Barb, and I'll copy and paste it into a Google Doc or an Evernote document or something like that that just keeps it a little bit easier to work on, if that makes sense.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. Good question. I appreciate that. By the way, is that snow or is that a deck I see in the background? Looks like
It's
you're
a deck.
okay.
No, we're still warm here, relatively.
Okay, good. I'm just like, hang on, I can't quite tell if that was going to be snow.
No,
That's
it's a
it's early yet.
deck.
I
It is.
appreciate that. All right, thank you very much. Next we got Ryan. Ryan, thanks for your help earlier with that on FAL. I appreciate. I had totally missed that toggle. What's on your mind, sir?
Absolutely. Good morning. Hope you're doing well.
I am.
So I wanted to pick your brain about your Manus prompting methodology. So I've found personally that in a lot of cases, less is more with what
Hmm.
I initially prompt Manus with. And I kind of got the vibe from looking when you were sharing your screen and you were talking about how you were coming up with your brand scribe or your
Hmm.
self-scribe 2.0 content that it kind of looked like you do the same thing. I was just curious to get your perspective. Like, do you find yourself like starting more broad and vague, and then do you ever have to like get more granular with guiding it, or do you just have good experience staying broad in general?
Good question. So I do almost all of my Manus prompting by voice. So I have that transcript feature on my computer turned on, and I do it mainly because I'm lazy and it's easier for me to talk than it is for me to type. I also don't have to think as much. When I have to type, I have to think about it and then I got to translate it through my fingers. I know it sounds weird, but it just doesn't come out as easily. And sometimes my brain gets ahead. I do, though, when I'm working with Manus or any of the AI tools, I try to give it good background information and to basically follow. I think, Ryan, you've heard me talk about my perfect prompt framework, which is 4 steps. Tell it the type of expert it needs to be, give it context, ask it your question, and then ask it to ask you any questions. The first part of that, telling it the type of expert it needs to be, is less relevant today than it's ever been. Still can be helpful, but more it's helpful to us to put us in the right mindset than it is to the AI. So I typically will dive right into context, kind of like I did with that, which is a year ago I did self-scribe and brand scribe. It taught how to create a self style and a brand style that you could train AI with. It's been over a year. There's been a lot of updates. I want to update and do a version 2.0. I'm going to do this as a 3-day class, 60 minutes of training each day because it's generally then 60 minutes of Q&A. Please review all the transcripts, review all the stuff I did, and then do some searches online and give me some recommendations of what are the things I should be covering in the class. Now, I haven't went any further. As I review that, I'll then talk to it again and say, okay, we've got that first round done. Now, here's some specific things I want to talk about that I think are relevant, and it'll start weaving those in. So I guess I'm starting off somewhat broad, but I'm still trying to give it really good context because I don't want to, if I get too broad, then it just goes crazy and is, it's like it's almost like you take a shot and you miss it because it just goes in the wrong direction.
Yeah, I was trying to use your Manny GPT for the or no, not Manny, sorry. What's it? Dexter. I was using Dexter a lot
Hmm.
for deep research, and I found that it worked really well before ChatGPT 5 came out. And because it was so detailed and it was really returning great results, but then I feel like something changed around the time that GPT-5 came out. And unless I run Dexter in like the 4.0 model, I found I'm getting all kinds of crazy results from my deep research. So, and I kind of noticed the same thing with Manus. It's like it's almost like it gives it too much direction and kind of creates a artificial bias. Where if you
Interesting.
kind of let it think a little bit on its own, uh, there have been exceptions to that rule, but I've found that it like does a little bit better job. And like for example, something I've seen Gemini doing more often than I want it to with deep research is it's relying too much on the user input. And I found that I have to explicitly tell it, like, no, I don't, I know what I'm putting
Hmm.
into you. I already know that. I want you to go out and build on this or validate it or check it and bring in, more relevant or additional information that I don't already have. So I just thought that's kind of an interesting trend that I've been seeing recently.
I haven't run into that. I definitely still in deep research tend to use the deep research prompt. It just seems to work well for us. I haven't had that problem, but with Manus and again, most of my prompting, I'm generally talking to it. So I think my prompts are probably a little longer than they used to be, but they're not necessarily overly detailed. I mean, it's kind of like if I look at it this way, Ryan, if you and I were collaborating on a project, I really want to talk to the model very similar to the way I would talk to you. And I want to
Hmm.
give it the same type of information that I would give if I were working with you, because I fully understand that it needs that context to be relevant to what we're talking about. So
Right. Just
yeah.
one small question. Do you use GPT-5 or do you use 4.0 for Dexter?
I use Google. I haven't run it. I haven't run deep research in ChatGPT in months.
Okay, I guess like I would use Dexter to create a prompt for Gemini.
Interesting. Yeah.
And
See,
then,
I use Dexter. Yes, I will create that. Yes. So I'm using that. And now I see your question. Yeah, I'm using 5 when I do it.
okay.
So sorry.
Well, I
Yeah,
have
I was
found,
thinking deep research in chat, but yeah, I'm using 5 to run Dexter in.
okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, I misunderstood there for a moment, trying to get everything in place there. So
No worries.
appreciate that. All right, next we have up Christine. What's on your mind?
Jonathan, quick question. I joined a couple minutes late, but I don't know if you covered this in ChatGPT, the agent mode at all.
Yeah,
Have
we
you?
so this is we certainly can. This is really just kind of what I use. So I
Mhm,
no, I didn't talk about the agent mode at all. I
mhm,
tend when I use agents, I'm tending to use Manus instead of using
okay.
ChatGPT.
Hmm.
I've not been particularly impressed with the agent mode in ChatGPT. It's not that it's bad. I just
Hmm.
find, for whatever reason, Manus seems to make more sense. What can I answer though for you? Because I do use it occasionally. I'd be happy to answer any questions I can.
Yeah, I haven't started down that path. I just wondered if there were any specific use cases that you were using the agent mode for that could be, that could be helpful for small businesses, for instance. But like I said, I haven't started down that path myself.
The agents I find out work really well, in particular, Christine, when you've got an objective that you're headed for, but
Hmm.
maybe you're not quite sure how to get there. In other words, one of them doesn't fit for what I do, but I know a lot of small businesses, they're looking for lead lists. They're looking to identify people to get in touch with. The ability to go into the ChatGPT agent or any of the other agents that are out there and basically say, I want you to do a search in my area. Let's say I'm a chiropractor in Jacksonville, Florida. I want you to search every school and I want you to search for every sports organization within an hour of Jacksonville, Florida, and find me the athletic director's name, and then, if possible, phone number and email address, and if you can find it, their LinkedIn profile. And I want you to find that for all of them within 100 miles or 50 miles, and I want you to put this in a table. Then agent will literally go do that. You could say, okay, now it might take it an hour, but it would go out and it would search. And now it might not find all of them, just like if we were assigned that to an admin, maybe they wouldn't find all of them, but it would come back and give us a really good list of that case of, again, athletic directors at schools and at other programs that I could reach out to if I was a chiropractor in that area. So
Gotcha.
that's where if I was using like ChatGPT or even Gemini and I wanted to ask it, I'd have to really do it step by step. The first thing I'd have to do, and it likely wouldn't do a great job. It would only do a fair job. Both Manus and again the agent mode in ChatGPT do a much better job at that point of digging in and even being able to take control and navigate. So we showed a
Mhm.
little bit in if I don't know if you caught it, but I shared in the Perplexity browser how it will literally take over your screen and navigate. When I'm using Manus or I'm using the agent in ChatGPT, it'll literally, ask you for access or to take over that, and it will navigate through different things. It can be super effective. You can even connect to other applications that you want. I'm not saying I would connect it to like my QuickBooks because I don't trust it that much,
Right,
but
right.
for example, warning because Facebook hates it when you do this and would probably ban your account, but you can go into a Facebook group and you can have ChatGPT's agent or anything else, go through that group and analyze what are, say, the top 50 posts that have gotten the most engagement. And it may work for 45 minutes and it'll then come back and give you those posts and then you can ask it follow-up questions like what were the commonalities between that, and so you can use it for competitor research if you've got competitors and you want to do that, or maybe you're not sure, you can say who are my top 5 competitors, review my website and who we are, ask me any questions, and then I want you to go out and identify my top 5 competitors. I'd like you to do a SWOT analysis to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then I'd like you to prepare that and show that to me in a table. So you show my company and then my 5 competitors, and I show me the opportunities we have to leap ahead. So I could give it that huge prompt, that huge request, and it would go ahead and execute on all of it and come back again anywhere from 10 minutes to an hour later with the results as best as it found those.
Gotcha. Thank you. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Appreciate it. Good question. Yvonne, you are up next. What's on your mind?
Hi, Jonathan.
Hello.
Hiya. Do you recommend using the file AI for ChatGPT if you're not using the ChatGPT too much?
No, I would not. In fact, I don't even think it's available through FAL. Maybe it is,
Oh,
but
okay.
I've never actually tried that. The FAL.ai is really good for image tools, video tools, and things like that. So there's a lot of them. So a good example is like Runway and VO3 as well. If you needed to build out some videos with Google's VO3, you can do some of that within Gemini, but then you've got to upgrade your plan. You can do an unlimited amount of that if you want to on FAL. You just have to pay for the usage as you go along. So you might create a video and it might cost you $100, but you won't have to wait because it'll literally do it all right there for you. So you're not waiting on capacity limits and things like that. If
Right.
if you're looking for a way to get essentially unlimited use of ChatGPT or Claude or anything else, what I use there, let me pull it up a minute because I don't have it running, but I will find it here and I'll share it on my screen. So for all of those tools that oops, where did it go? There it is. Sorry, multiple monitors and things jump sometimes. Let me get in here and share my screen. So one of the things I mentioned, I really like Claude, but what I don't like about Claude is how often it tells me that I've only got 3 more requests that I can do because I'm running out of capacity or whatever. So I use Typing Mind. Typing Mind is a shell that I can buy. It's basically an application, but inside of Typing Mind, I have access to all kinds of different models. So if I click on models here, you can see Gemini, I can look at, here's the Google models. You can see lots of Google models I have access to. Here's all the Claude models I have access to. Here's all the ChatGPT OpenAI models I have access to. And there's a lot more. And what's neat about this, when I go into chat here, I can start a new chat. It's right down here. I can pick any engine that I want. So, like if I want to use Claude Sonnet 4, which is one of their new models, which I always run out of usage on, I can select Claude Sonnet 4 here and I can start doing anything that I want. And what will happen is it will literally just charge me. So here's an example. This was using Google Gemini. You can see this is a long conversation that I had with Google Gemini following a particular thing that I wanted to do, even looked at a ton of files. And I don't know if you can see this up here, but I spent 47 cents to have this conversation. And I actually paid that to Google. So Google charged me 47 cents to review all these files, create all this information for me. I could have, in theory, done this inside of Gemini itself, but I used the API through Typing Mind to do it instead. And it's particularly effective, like I mentioned, with Claude, where Claude kind of has these what I would call arbitrary usage limits. So when I start using it, it stops me and says, you don't have any more uses for 4 hours. If I'm in the middle of a project, I don't necessarily want to wait for that. And so I use, again, Typing Mind for that, and it works out really well. So does that answer your question, Yvonne, or not really? Did I further
Yeah, I
confuse
think
things?
like you say, it's good to attend these sessions so that you can just get your head around all the different things that are available out there, and then, like you say, pick what's right for you. I
That's
don't
a
know.
really important part. Go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know whether you do have time for another question. Doesn't look like there's
Sure.
lots of hands up. Um,
No,
I've got Comet at the moment, and then I noticed that you mentioned Comet, but you also mentioned Perplexity. Can you just give me a sort of like a detailed outline of what's the difference between the two?
yeah, so Perplexity is
Thanks.
the company behind Comet. Comet is their browser, but the company behind it, the company who makes it, is Perplexity. So here I'm in Comet. I'm using Comet right here. I've literally just opened up a new tab, and you can see when I open up a new tab, I'm actually have the opportunity to use Perplexity right here. I don't actually have to go to perplexity.ai. That's perplexity.ai,
Right. Okay.
and this is a
So
new
it's one and the
tab.
same.
Yeah, it's really one and the same. The
Right.
differences really start coming in the agentic capabilities of the browser. So you can enable their assistant here. And as I showed you, I don't know if you were on before, Yvonne, when I
Yeah.
showed,
Yeah.
how you can do things, you can find emails. So, here's a great example. Let's go over to my email here real quick. Go into, let's see what it loads up here. And we'll just go to my inbox. So lots of stuff in here. And let's say I'm looking for an email that I had. I can literally go into here and say, I'm speaking at AI Marketing World the first week of October. Actually, I believe it's the first full week of October. And I don't remember what I told Austin, who's putting the event together, the topic that I was going to speak on. Can you go back through my emails? It's been almost a year since we began talking about this, and find out what it is I told Austin I was going to speak about at the convention? So there's a good example. I could go do this. I could use Google search to do this. I don't know what it's going to find, by the way. But I have been emailing Austin and we've been working in chats and stuff like that for a long time. The other thing that's really neat about this is that in a moment here, I can actually also do other things. If it doesn't find it in my inbox, I'll be able to go to like Facebook and have it search my Facebook Messenger for times that I talked to Austin about this as well. So sometimes if you're trying to find that, it can really be helpful. So you can see here, it says you started corresponding with Austin about a year ago. The earliest confirmation it can find was from March 21 of 2025. Your email chain with Chris O'Connor is a direct request for a session title, but unfortunately the content in the doesn't show what was sent back. No email in the batch. So it's basically saying, I can't find it because you don't have it, but you should email Chris O'Connor or Austin. Here's the email address and see what they're planning on. So,
Yeah, that would just take you ages to filter through all those emails and find that, wouldn't it?
exactly. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so that's where, again, as an assistant, it can be helpful. And it's so powerful. It doesn't always need the window open, but when you have the window open, so if I go into my Facebook Messenger here, and let's see it all. Can I extract this here? There we go.
This is
That's what I
Josh. Can I
wanted.
help you?
Hang on a minute. I'm going to mute Josh here a second. There we go. So when I go into here, I can use the assistant in here as well, and I could have it do the same thing. Can you search for my conversations with Austin Armstrong here in Google or Facebook chat and see if we ever discussed the topic that I was going to be speaking at AI Marketing World about? And because I'm in here, it will now take over control of my chat window and it will do the same thing. And again, this is a great example where it might take me certainly tens of minutes, if not a lot longer, to
Yeah.
dive through. And again, notice it went through Facebook Messenger and it went through my email to find out, and it couldn't find anything, which I know because Austin and I were joking about the fact that we've been talking for a year and he says, whatever you want to talk about, it's fine with me. But we didn't have a full topic figured out. But this is to me where the assistant really sets apart. I can't have Perplexity go do that. It won't dig into that whole thing, if that makes sense. And so
Yeah.
having that ability to do that through the browser is just a different part of that. Does that clarify things at all?
Yeah, I just need to use it a bit more, but yeah, it's really good. Yeah, real
It
time
is.
saver. Yeah, thank you for that.
Awesome. Thank you
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you asking, Yvonne. Thank you very much. All right, next up we've got Kathleen. What's on your mind, Kathleen?
Hi,
There we
Jonathan.
go. Now I can hear you.
Thank you for taking my question. All
Oh, I'd
right,
love to. Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you for a quick cheat here.
Okay.
What platform would you utilize? I need to prepare a presentation this weekend to give for 60 minutes using PowerPoint, and I know the content, but I want to put it into a 1 hour presentation to give to a large group. So would you
Gamma.
use Manus or?
So if you have the content that you want into it, you want to go right to Gamma. It is unbeatable in my mind. You can use Manus to create presentations, but Manus presentations are ugly in my mind. They're very
Okay.
good. I mean, they've got great information. They're just ugly. So I use Manus when I need to create it. So I'm speaking in Denver next week, for example. I did use Manus in this case, Kathleen, to help me kind of strategize and put together the plan. I basically said, I did a brain dump. Here's what I'm planning on talking about. Help me make this organized. Help me make it good. Manus gave me that list. I then took the outline that it gave me and uploaded it here into Manus. And you'll take a look here. By the way, when I uploaded it, I was able to tell who the audience was. I was able to define that I wanted to use like black and white kind of ink style drawings instead of my normal cartoon. I changed it because of who the audience is. But you can see now it's put together a really nice, and by the way, all I did is went in and edited this a little bit, but it's created this entire presentation based upon the outline that was based upon my brain dump that I gave to Manus. And so instead of me having to fight around with PowerPoints and all that, I could literally come directly into here. And the thing I love about Manus here, let me get out of the present mode. I was out of it. Sorry. There we go. I can come in and I can edit these if I want to as well. So if I didn't want these blue, I can come in and change the color. I can change the words. I can change the images. I can change the font size. So just like PowerPoint, I can really come in and do all that. But unlike PowerPoint, and I have not used it in a while, but I'm not aware that it lets me just give it an outline and then it creates the whole presentation. So here's a good example. Let's go ahead and just show you one in real time. So I'm going to leave that one open because I don't want to lose it. So we've got Manus, and let's go ahead and see what I've got in my drive that I can do. So, well, we'll just talk about self-scribe. That's good. So here is 3 days of replays on self-scribe. So these are actually my transcripts of the training that I did a year ago. And let's say that somebody's asked me to speak about this. I've been asked to speak to a local chamber of commerce. It's a Zoom meeting, going to be 45 minutes and 15 minutes of Q&A about how to use self-scribe and brand scribe in order to train AI to sound like you and sound like your business. I've uploaded my training transcripts from a training I did a year ago on this. I'd like you to review the transcripts and then put together an outline with each slide needed of the presentation. So I can have Manus do this. Now, I could upload this to Gamma as well, but I can only upload one file. I can't upload three. So I'm going to start with Manus because it will let me upload 3 different transcript files. This will take just a minute, but it'll then give me that outline, Kathleen. And we've got enough time here. We'll go ahead in just a moment and put that through and move on. While I'm doing this thinking, I see a couple chats coming through. Jimmy's self-scribe training is going to be next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Registration will open up for that probably tonight, assuming I get everything over to my team. It may open up tomorrow. So that's that. So that will be there. And if you've taken self-scribe, there will be a discount because it's version 2.0. So we'll give you guys a discount. Let's just watch Manus here. Think for just a moment, Kathleen. Hopefully it won't take too long. I gave it, just so you can give perspective, it's 6+ hours of transcripts it's going through to pull this out. So that's a lot of data to pull out and figuring out what it's doing. And it looks like it's doing a pretty good job of that. Probably will think here for another minute. Another thing I love about Manus, notice it's created a task. So I gave it an overview of what I wanted done. It then said, in order to do that, I need to review and analyze the training transcripts. I need to extract key concepts and methodologies. Then I need to structure it for a 45-minute presentation with Q&A. Then I need to create a detailed slide-by-slide outline with content recommendations and deliver that to the user. So I didn't, normally with like AI, it'd have to each one of those step by step. I'd have to start with, please review this, and now please do this. And now, with Manus, the neat thing is, again, I can just let it go. I can go do anything else, and we can come back to it in a minute, which is we'll do. We'll go to Jeff here in a minute while this is thinking, and this will just keep working in the background. So Jeff, while we're doing that, what question can I answer for you, sir?
Hi, Jonathan. Your presentations are always awesome.
Well, thank you.
So, can you describe the tool that you use? This is not AI related, I don't think, but the tool that you're using to your voice to come to the screen. You know, you're dictating to your computer.
Oh yeah, I'm actually, so it's just native inside of either Mac or PC. So I am on a Mac, but you can do it on a PC as well. and I'm not using any app. It's built into the operating system
Okay.
on both. Um,
Okay.
so are you on a Mac or you're on a PC, Jeff?
PC.
Okay. So let's go ahead and I'll show you how to do it. I have to ask Perplexity because it's been a while, but let's go over to Perplexity. How can I enable the transcription feature on a PC that allows me to click inside a box to talk and have my words automatically transcribed? So it should tell us it's something like Control H or something like that. They call it the dictation feature, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So Windows key and H on your keyboard, and you just make sure you're inside that text field that you want it to show up in. You press that Windows key and H, and it will turn on your mic, and you'll literally be able to talk like I am, and it will automatically transcribe it for you. So the neat thing is you don't need any external app. It's literally just used right through your computer itself.
Awesome. Thanks, Jonathan.
Yeah. By the way, that's a massive hack, Jeff. You've probably seen me do it before. It's a massive productivity hack to do that because I can talk much faster and more effectively than I can just type.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
works really,
Your
really well.
your typing tends to stymie your brain,
It
and
does for me, yes. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I
thank you
highly
very much.
recommend that. And the neat thing about that transcript feature, it's not just with AI. I mean, you can go into an email and do it. You can go into a Word document and do it. Any place you could click and type, you can now click and talk, and it works really well. Thanks for asking, Jeff. I
Thank,
appreciate that.
thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and see. It looked like we were done. So, Kathleen, I'm going to bring you back up and let's go take a look at that presentation. We'll go to the next step and then we'll go back to Q&A. So if I share my screen again, there we go. So here we are, we're back in Manus. Notice it's all done and I can exit it here and it's given me a presentation outline. It's actually then given me the training analysis. So if I want to see the whole analysis, here's actually the analysis that it went through. Oops, exit out of there. It's even then giving me my Chamber of Commerce presentation. Notice it's got kind of the outline for what I should be doing. And then hopefully this is my slide by slide. It's not showing up, so that's got me a little concerned. Oh, there it is. I think it's a table and it's my computer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to download this as a PDF. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to go back over to Manus, or I'm sorry, not Manus, Gamma. I get my apps messed up. I'm going to click on Create New, Import File. Click over here to browse my files. And there it is. Here's that PDF. It's Gamma now is going to go through that outline that I just gave it, Kathleen. Now, in theory, you'd want to proof that outline. You wouldn't just want to do this without, but for the sake of showing you how to do that, it's going to go ahead and upload that file. It's going to analyze it, and then it's going to let me pick how many slides. So do I want a web page, a presentation, a document, social media? We'll do a presentation. It's going to take just a moment here. And one of the nice things about Gamma is I get to choose, do I want it to use the text that it gave? I could click preserve. In this case, I want it to use AI to read the outline, but to generate the slide content itself. I'm going to trust it to do that. Do I want it to be minimal, concise, or detailed? We'll make it concise. I don't like them to be too long. Who is this for? Chamber of Commerce members, small business owners, executives, and community leaders interested in practical AI tools for branding. It pulled that out of what it found as it analyzed it. That's pretty good. And then the tone that I want, and then I can pick my template, which has my branding in it. And then it says what type of images, and I'm going to say I want to use line art, and we'll just say go. By the way, it's come up with 10 cards. Let me see how many it recommended. It doesn't look like it had all the slide numbers in there. So I'm just going to bump this up a little bit to 15 and I say generate. And now it'll go ahead and create this presentation for me with 15 slides. And you'll be able to watch here. Literally, we can watch it created in real time and create this presentation for us. Notice it's using the line art that we asked it to do. And it's pulling all of this from the outline, but then it's using, in this case, because of the way I set it up, it's using AI to actually create the slide content, if that makes sense. So it's using the outline we gave it, but we're kind of using AI twice. AI to analyze my original training, to create the outline, and now AI to take the outline and put it together. And again, it'll just keep creating here as it walks on through. And then When it's done, I can go ahead and make edits or changes or whatever else as I need to. I can export this to Google Slides. I can export it to PowerPoint if I need to use that. I can save it as a PDF, any of those things that make it easy to use. Historically, I actually have used Canva in the last number of years when I needed to do this, but it is so much faster to use Gamma, and I find the presentations are even better than what I will put together because I tended to get tired by the time I got to slide 15, and Gamma doesn't. It just keeps producing what it needs to all the way through. And you can see it's continuing to just build that out, even grabbing testimonials that we had and pulling it together. So does that answer your question, Kathleen? You'd asked about present. Did I go the right direction?
I think absolutely amazing. Yes, very, very much
Okay.
so. It probably saved me 40 hours.
Yay! That was worth spending an hour with me then, right? I love it.
Definitely. May I ask one more question?
Yeah,
Is
go
this
ahead.
the free version of Gamma, or is there something I should
I
sign
think
up
I pay
for?
$20 a month. What I recommend for
Okay.
Gamma though is start with the free version, and then they'll tell you when you need to upgrade. They give you a fair bit for free. I think you get 2 or 3 presentations a month, but start for free, and then if you need to, it's not expensive. I think I pay $20 a month for it.
Okay.
So, and
Same with Manus. Would I be able
yeah,
to do
so
this with
I
the free
use
version?
I use everything free. Part of it's because I don't know if you were here earlier. I talked about I share my link regularly on social media.
Okay.
And I'll tell you that here's the way to do it. Everybody's looking for a free AI tool. So just go if you want unlimited free AI usage, use Manus, and here's my link to get you a free to get in for free. And people will then log in and they get unlimited free chat. When I post that, generally I'll get 20 or 30 people that day that'll sign up. You get credits for that. So you get 500 credits from Manus. That's equal to about $5. And we can go take a look here and see what that cost us just to give you perspective. So if I go back to Manus here, let's exit out and we'll go take a look here. Here's, by the way, where you get your share link. Just share Manus with a friend. Just click on that. But let's go into my home page. Nope, that's not what I wanted. Trying to find out where I'm not getting to the right spot here, but where I can find out here we go, usage. So that thing we just talked about, the outline Chamber of Commerce talk, cost me 58 credits. And you get 500 for every person you sign up. Now I did others. The planning that I did for Self-Scribe and Brand Scribe, that was a much bigger. That cost me so basically $2. So you can pay for it if you need to, or you get 500. You can see I got a referral bonus there. I just got a referral bonus while we've been doing this call from hopefully one of you guys that signed up using that link. And that way I'm not using it. You can see I've built up 358,000 credits that I have on here. So I do with Manus have a paid account, but that's just because I use it all the time. Candidly, I felt guilty not giving them some money, but I'm using, as you can see, these credits up here on a regular basis. So, um,
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
yeah, the other thing with Manus that's cool. So like I did their basic plan. It was $20 a month. It was $190 for the year. I know because I just bought it last week. I finally gave in. I get 1,900 credits a month, but I also, if you log in, you get 300 free credits every day. So if you log in and use that at any point in time, they'll give you another 300 credits a day. And as you can see, I could have done my brand scribe and that, and I'd still be under my 300 free credits that I just got for the day. So that's nice to be able to get those as well and build that up. I've been using Manus for months and months and months. They've never went away. I've actually got another account that I set up because I set up a different account on my phone by accident when I did it, and I've got almost 500,000 credits in that one. So you can definitely build those up and then use it to your heart's content.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right. Next, we've got Jimmy. Jimmy, good to see you again. What's on your mind?
Good seeing you all too. Just a quick question, clarification on the self-scribe training. Is that a replacement of the existing training? In other words, Is
Well,
there any
self-scribe
benefit?
that we taught, yeah. So the original one we did August of last year. So it's just over a year old. It still works. We actually released an updated version, Self-Scribe 2.0, of the main prompt itself a couple months ago. This is gonna, I should probably call it Self-Scribe 2.5 because it's actually going to be an, another add-on from that. What we did still works. This is just more ways to do it, more ways to refine it, more ways to get it in the that it's just a as you can imagine, with AI changing, what's changed in the last year that lets us do a better job than we could do a year ago? And I'm a big
Right.
believer that if you're going to use AI in your business, you want to make sure that it understands both you and your brand. And that's why we bundle Self-Scribe and Brand Scribe together. There you get both of them in one training because when you're creating marketing content, you want it to reflect your brand or maybe reflect you if you're doing personal branding. And if you don't do that, we all know that, people go, oh, I can tell AI just because I read it. I could tell it. If you don't train it, there's some truth in that. You can tell it uses certain phrases and words, and you're like, I'd never say that. But when we train it, then it helps that work out much better and seems to flow and just create more authentic content. And I'm all for using AI to do the heavy lifting, but I often refer to it as AI assisted content. I'm not here to try to hand it off and have AI do all of it for me, but anything that I could have my team do that AI can now do for me, probably faster and better, it saves everybody time. And now my team can focus on other things, and that works for everybody.
Right. It's the art of delegation, really. Yeah, it
It
makes
is,
sense.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so the 2.5 or whatever you end up calling it, that's a replacement of the existing training. That
Yes, yeah.
they won't coexist once the
No,
new one
in fact,
comes.
as soon as 2.5 is done, 2.0 or 1.0 will come off the store. It won't be available any longer.
Understood.
So,
All right.
yeah. Yeah, and I
Thanks for
think you were
clarifying.
probably on the call yesterday. Somebody said, "Should I buy 1.0?" And I'm like, "Just wait a week. It's literally coming out."
Yeah, it was
So,
me, and you actually
was
mentioned that, but I just
yeah,
wanted to
so
make sure I
The
understood.
the links will be coming out probably just based on timing and everything. It'll probably be tomorrow because this morning I was talking to my marketing team and I'm like, hey, how are we coming on Self-Scribe? And they're like, we're waiting for you to give us the marketing copy. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it'll probably be, I'll get it to them today, but they won't get it turned around till tomorrow to build out the landing page and all that. So, but
I'll
it's
be looking
if you
for it.
want to
All right.
mark your calendar, it's next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And let me look at the calendar here real quick. Too many things going on. Let's see here. Next week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Sorry, I got to click through at 3 p.m. Eastern. So wherever
Perfect.
time zone you're in. And
Yeah.
by the way, I know somebody asked me this too, worth just sharing with everybody on the call. Um, we put all of our trainings out at Eastern time. And I don't say Eastern Standard or Eastern Daylight because I can never make sense of which, but whatever Eastern time is in the US today is, so if we say 3 o'clock, it's at 3 o'clock Eastern. I'm in Central right now. My staff's in South Africa. We've got different people, different spots. So we just do it on whatever Eastern time is. So if you see a time posted, it'll always be whatever that is in Eastern time in the US that day. So
That makes it easy. I'm in New York, so that makes it easy for me.
yeah,
But
it's easy,
thanks
easy
for
for you. Yeah.
clarifying. Yeah.
So
All
awesome.
right.
Thanks, Jimmy. I appreciate it.
No
All
worries.
right.
Appreciate
Next up,
you.
we've got Whole Health Living. What's on your mind?
Oh, hi, Mr. Jonathan. This is Zelda. I don't know why it comes up like that, but I got a
Hey,
I was
Zelda. Good to
wondering
see you.
how you doing. It was nice seeing you in DC as well. I want to know
Absolutely.
if you can demo putting a button into a Google Doc.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and also I wanted to say cool, that was full circle because that's when I started with you when you did the first
I would say I think you've
self-drive.
you've done every training we've had, haven't you, Zelda? I think you
Yeah,
have.
I
Yeah.
love it. I know it's ridiculous. I'm addicted.
No, it's not. We love you for it. And
But
yeah,
I
Zelda.
so I'm probably gonna take it again because I'm trying to stay up to date. AI is going so fast.
Well, and there'll be a number of changes, and if you took the first version, I know a number of you did that are on the call that took the first version. We'll give you guys a big discount because it's an add-on, so it won't be the full price. We appreciate you doing that. So
Okay.
what Zelda's talking about here is we just taught in one of our other classes how to create a landing page inside of a Google Doc. Sometimes you don't want to pay for things like Go High Level and things like that, especially as you're getting started. How do you put a button inside of a Google Doc. So we can go ahead and lay out a document. We can make it our sales page. We can paste everything together. If I need to create a button, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, excuse me here, I feel like I've got a hiccup. There it was. We're going to go ahead and just type in the word button. This could be, let's even make it better. We'll say, click here to register. So whatever I want that to be, whatever I want that button to appear. Now, if I want it to look a little bit more like a button, what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to go in and I'm going to change the text color. So let's make this one red and bold. That way it's a little bit, it kind of stands out just a little bit more, a little bit easier to see what I want to do. I can even go ahead and I can add a background color. So let's say instead I want to make the background red and I want to make the text white. I can do something like that and make it look more like a button, if that makes sense. It's still just text. I can center it. I can do whatever I want to. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight it. And then right up here in Google Doc, you'll see an insert link. And I'm going to go ahead and take that. And now I can take any link that I want. So let's go ahead and grab my Manus link as an example and apply. And then I'm going to say, oh, it changed it to white or to blue, which looks bad. So I'm going to come back up here and override that, tell it to go back to white. Still has the link. But now let's say click here to get Manus. And then I just need to notice it wasn't all underlined. So I'm going to fix that really quick again. There we go. And it will change the color on you every time. So just have to remember, if you did the highlight, you have to go back and change that. So now if you were to open that document just like this, as I hover over Zelda, it's going to put that link right there, and then you can click on that link. And that's how I at least create buttons inside a Google Doc. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you. And it's so funny because I've been stuck for 2 weeks. So embarrassing. Hard stuff.
No, that's the way it goes.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
absolutely. Absolutely. No, looking forward to it. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with us today. We are at time, so we're going to wrap everything up. But I so appreciate you guys. Love answering these questions. And I'm just going to ask a favor out of you before you leave. We're going to have just a moment here. If these are valuable, where if you guys, I always question, do people really care what I'm using and does it matter? If these are valuable, would you just give me a 1 in the comments so that I know these are valuable? If they're not, feel free to give me a 2. But I love to know if, we want to add value to you guys and want to make sure that we're on target. So if we're ever off target, by the way, don't ever hesitate to tell us that we're off target. We want to know that as well, because that's important to us. I did not get a chance to go back through the chat, so I hope I didn't miss anything that was in there, and I hope everything was relevant. Yeah, just as a reminder, I want to say, it seems like there's something coming up. Oh, if you guys haven't yet, we're doing a training this afternoon on Google Notebook LM. I did not talk about that today. My team uses it a lot. I don't use it as often, but Google Notebook LM is really cool in that it works differently than every other AI tool out there. It lets you upload your own training data to it, and it sticks to that training data, which is really cool. So we're going to spend about an hour and a half, 2 hours showing you how to use Google Notebook LM. It's a super cheap training. It's $10. If you're interested, you can find it in our store, and there's still plenty of time to register and get the links or get the replay if you're interested. Again, thanks everybody. We really appreciate you being with us, and I appreciate you dealing with all the weird technical stuff of going and the weird lights going on today. So thank you guys so much. Have an incredible day, and hopefully we'll see a bunch of you this afternoon. Take care. Bye-bye, everyone.